Hello, friends. Taking this opportunity on this beautiful Saturday morning to offer up another video to post to my YouTube channel about my life here in Puerto Rico, but also my process in making my it happen. I wanted to focus today's video on La Familia, family. Been working on my Spanish. Um, and I wanted to be intentional about creating a video around family because I believe it's really important that we take a moment at least to reflect on how our family of origin, how our family of choice, and how we fit into those different arrangements and how those situations, realities, dynamics impact our life every day and the choices that we make. And so I wanted to share, as I have in the past on other videos, my experience in relation to my family of origin, my family of choice, and the choices that I've made, and certainly as it relates to where I am today. So thank you for joining. Appreciate your time, and hopefully this can be of some benefit to you or a friend or loved one that you know. So I just wrapped up a 5-6 day visit. My parents flew down from upstate New York. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for doing so. It was a big trip for them. The flight got canceled twice. Eventually they got on a plane. They got down delays. It was incredible. It was that crazy travel weekend this past July 4th. And they made it, but they made it here. And also my husband came down as well. He had no travel issues. He just magically got on a plane, got down here, and so forth. But we had a really nice time. It was a great opportunity to have a rental car and go out and explore the island. I was able to post some photos from lots of our journeys and trips that we had while they were here on my Facebook page, and I'll share those links again below. But I really wanted to get to some context in relation to personal growth experience and how that relates to our families. So, with regards to family of origin, right? So we come into this world, we don't choose necessarily. I mean, perhaps on some kind of spiritual level and in a way that we don't know or understand, we choose our parents, or we have some kind of contract in choosing where we come into this world and what that experience may entail. But I don't know any of that to be true. But I do know that here we are, right? We're born into a family, and every one of us have our own story and experiences to share in relation to that family of origin. And so my story is that I was born into a small family in upstate New York, a white Caucasian family with Methodist Baptist ties. I have a father who was part of a very large family that struggled with poverty, and and the impact that that had on him and his life and growing up. A mother who had two great parents who took care of her and her three brothers, and together they my parents got together and married right out of high school. They were high school sweethearts and got married and had two kids and got the house and the job, and kind of that American thing, right, that happens. And so fast forward 18 years later, in the early 90s, I come out. I'm gay. And at the time, it was really difficult for my parents to hear that. I think they knew the truth, right? They knew that that was part of my experience, my life's journey, but it was very difficult for them to hear. And I think that they were also very terrified about what that meant for me and my future experiences and the potential danger that that could open up for me. My mom, as she, was taught, referenced the Bible at the time, and showed me where, homosexuality wasn't something that was accepted or part of the teachings of the Bible. And, they also were very afraid that I was going to get HIV and AIDS and die, because they had just seen all of that happening, right? Gay men on television, dying from AIDS and the lack of the government response, etc. So rightly so, they were terrified, and also only had reference to the education and the training and the exposure to the experiences they had. And so following my North Star, I knew, regardless of all of those things, it didn't change the fact that I identified as gay, that I was sexually attracted to men, that my makeup, my DNA, all of it spoke to the fact that, relating to being a cisgender gay male was my experience and was going to be my journey and my path of my life. And so I had to embrace that. And that was very difficult for my family at first. And so I just want to say also that fast forward, many years later, they were at my wedding to my husband on our 10-year, my Spiro and I got married on our 10-year anniversary, and my parents were there. And I think on some level it was different, right? Because I don't know that they had ever gone to a same-sex wedding before that experience. So it was different, and I think it was different for a lot of people that were there. This was in 2014. It was only 3 years after gay marriage had become legal in New York State, which was 2011. So these, same-sex weddings were starting to become more common, but it was certainly a new experience for many people. But my folks, to their credit, have grown to really love and appreciate my husband, almost like a son. And they've just really come so far. And so this past week, right, so the three of us hung out, well, the four of us, my parents, my husband and I, and we drove all over the island, and we tried to go swimming, and we hung out on the beach, and we went into the rainforest, and we went out to dinner, and we hung out on the couch, and we made dinner, and we did our family thing, and it was really fantastic. And that's really a combination of, when I talk about the impacts that our family of origin, right, that story of me and my folks and my truth, and coming out and getting married to my family of choice, right, my husband, and what that experience is and how that relates to the choices and the experiences I have every day. So, I wanted to share that. I wanted to encourage folks to think about where you are today, and what impact does your family of origin have on the choices that you're making. And it's really even almost subconscious and cultural too. So, for me to pack up and relocate, whether it's temporary or long-term, to an island in the Caribbean called Puerto Rico, is completely outside the box and not something that often happens, right? When I think about extended family, my mom certainly has brothers that have relocated to other states, and they have some contact with each other. I have other relatives, the majority of which kind of remain and stay around the same area in which they were born, which is awesome for them, and it works really great for them. And, having experienced, the loneliness and the independence that comes with being, 2,500 miles away in Puerto Rico, on an island from my family, where you can't get a hug if you need one. You don't have that close physical connection, although thank you, technology, for creating opportunities to sit down and FaceTime or phone call or text or see pictures on, Facebook, etc. But it's different. And so I get it. But I also, think that sometimes we can get really caught up in the opinions and beliefs of our family and our family of choice, whether it's origin or choice, about what decisions we need to make for ourselves that are best for us, right? So I've been very open and honest about a person's, being a person struggling with addiction, whether it's, sex, drugs. It's been part of my truth, and my family has been really great at supporting me in my process. And so, when after coming out and after struggling early on after high school, my folks were there to help me get into a rehab, and they were there to transport me to Binghamton to the crisis center where I could move into a halfway house. And having moved to Binghamton because there were going to be queer AA meetings that I could go to, which is huge, and helped me begin to build a foundation of a family of choice, right? In the Binghamton area where I lived for 8 years, where I really got my roots in recovery as a person that had struggled with active addiction, but then was able to abstain from those substances, find a recovery community that supported me and encouraged me and helped me to accomplish things like getting an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. And then, that family, leaving that family of choice behind to move to Albany, where I wanted to get my master's in social work. And I knew that that was my ticket, right? That was what I needed to do next. And so leaving my family of choice, I had left my family of origin in Bath to go to my recovery community in Binghamton, which was a family of choice. And that family of choice I had to leave behind to go to Albany to go explore and, get my master's in social work. And so, not everything always happens the way we expect it to happen, right? So when I moved to Albany, I expected to be able to get my master's degree in just a couple years. It ended up taking me 6 years doing it part-time. And it was my family of origin and my family of choice that supported me through that really difficult time and that transition of, my expectation was I was just going to accomplish this goal, and the universe had other plans in mind, right? So I hadn't completed an internship successfully, and I was asked to leave the program for 6 months, which created an opportunity for me to go out into the field and get direct practice experience, which is where I really learned how to be a social worker, right? My first job providing case management to individuals who struggled or who were struggling, but also were HIV positive or had AIDS. They taught me how to be an advocate. I went to school and I learned and I got all the book training, but my clients, when I was working as a case manager at the time for the AIDS Council in Schenectady, they taught me how to be an advocate, and because of that, I was geared up in a better position once I did graduate with my master's degree to do the work that I do. But staying on topic, I want to wrap up this video in just a little bit and just encourage folks to take a moment, and maybe it's journaling, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's when you finally lay your head on your pillow at night and you have a moment to be with yourself, to think about how is my family of origin, how has that experience impacted the choices that I've made up until this day, and what impact has that family dynamics had on the choices that I'm making for tomorrow, as well as our family of choice, right? Like, what impacts are those individuals and those relationships having on the choices that we're making? And by no means am I encouraging that folks need to pack up and leave their family of origin, leave their family of choice, and go fly off to an island and start a new chapter. But when we back up just a little bit and we think about the shortness in the experience that we get to have this life, right? So as we lay our head on the pillow to think about, like, what experiences would I like to have in this life? What, they talk about a bucket list, but it's more than that. It's about this seizing this opportunity in this world, in this universe, on this planet, in this community, in this family in which we live. And how do I want to interact with it? How do I want to experience it? How do I want to be remembered? how do I want to impact others? And so as I sit here today and feeling extremely grateful to having spent this past week with my family, I am also being very intentional about crafting and connecting with a new family of choice here, while also continuing to maintain and stay connected to my family of origin and my family of choice back in Albany and Schenectady area. And my husband and I are continuing to go through our process as well. But I just want to encourage folks to think about their present moment and how those experiences of others impacts the choices that we make, and then how we then choose to engage in the world around us. And so I just want to thank you all for taking time to listen to my story, to hear my thoughts, and I look forward to connecting with you further. Please feel free to reach out, message, connect me with any way that you choose. And I wish you all the best and have a wonderful weekend, or whenever you see this. Be well, and thank you for your time, and so long for now.